Welcome back. Welcome into the Lions Share podcast. Week 3 is here, and the Lions are headed out west for a matchup against Kyler Scurry and the Arizona Cardinals. They also have a wide receiver who is son of a Hall of Famer. You might know him, Marvin Harrison Jr., so got to watch out for him. The Cardinals come in at 1-1, mirroring the Lions' record, also at 1-1. A couple of quick hitters here before we talk more of that in detail. Of course, we always do this at the top of Wednesday's show. The BAMS Player of the Week, no shocker this week. Aiden Hutchinson, claps for him. He wins the BAMS this week. And Mitch, did you see this? Aiden Hutchinson alone, solo, has more sacks than 18 teams.
It's disgusting. Doesn't surprise me. Didn't see it. He's also leading the league in pressures, which pressures is becoming more and more of like the stat. Obviously, sacks have always been the sexy one, but I feel like there's more and more attention being paid to pressures. And I mean, Dan said it last year, and so did Hutch. I mean, like you can't just always get sacks. Sometimes it's about getting back there, making them uncomfortable. So yeah, I mean, Aiden Hutchinson. What was it? What does that put him at? 14th in the league in sacks. I don't know, 14th team
Yeah.
in the league in sacks. That's pretty good.
And what was crazy, I don't know if you caught this, but he didn't even win NFC Defensive Player of the Week.
Who won that?
That's bad on me.
I guess
Maybe
it's kind of irrelevant. The guy he
yeah.
had 4.5 sacks in one game.
Aiden won it. Aiden won it for all intents and purposes. So
Yeah,
congrats, Aiden, on the.
right.
And should mention some claps here and some cheers here for Andrew, who's not with us right now. We're gonna hopefully maybe get him by the end of the show. We'll see. He's out there getting second place in his league, summer league.
That's a huge applause for second place.
Yeah. Well, that's all we've got here. That's all the time he's got for us in the sound effects. So we're pretty limited. I mean, unless you want to give him this.
That's good. That's good.
If you ain't first, you're last, kid. All right, a couple of other things. I don't know if you caught this, Mitch, but did you see that Dan Campbell was on 97.1 as he is every week, and he said he would not be surprised if everything wasn't fully clicking till the bye week? Doesn't that seem odd to hear from a head coach?
I mean, yes and no. Their bye week is only the 5th week of the season, so it's not a big deal. And I think obviously he doesn't mean it as like they're not going to go out and be competitive. He just means like, hey, you haven't seen our best, and you might not until after the bye. So, it's a truth bomb from DC. We've come to expect it. I appreciate it. Maybe a little untraditional to kind of tip your cap to the next couple of games to the Cards and Seahawks. Like, if you want to beat us, now's your time. But we'll see. Or it's a smokescreen. Could be either or.
Exactly, you're exactly right. You never know with Dan. He's very, very much an honest guy, but thought that was a little surprising. But you're right. It is kind of tipping your cap. So speaking of which, the Seahawks and the Cardinals kind of coming in a little bit hotter than some like expect. Seahawks 2-0, Cardinals 1-1 with one loss to a Buffalo Bills team that looks pretty solid. So this weekend, the Lions take on the Cardinals Sunday, 4:25 Eastern on Fox. Lions sitting at 3-point favorites in this one. Over under sits at 52.5. Lions and Cardinals met in 2021. That's the last time Lions took it to them, 30-12. The last time these two teams met, Jared Goff had a QB rating of 140, so that makes you feel good. He had 3 touchdowns,
Pretty
no
good.
picks. Not a bad day at the office, especially thinking back to that was. I mean, Mitch, you alluded to it. Those were the early years of Goff. That's when he was not at his peak. So it's a little surprising to go back in the memory bank and remember that. So what do you think about this matchup, Mitch? Do you think the offense put up the numbers last week in terms of yards, but do you think they can actually get some drives finished and put up some points out there in the desert?
Yeah, I mean, I'm hopeful that this week is the week that everything clicks, right? We see Amon Ra, we see Gibbs, we see Laporta, who's been non-existent. I think they can figure it out. I definitely think there's been some soul searching. I think, we put a lot of heat on Ben Johnson last week. I think Goff has to figure something out. Goff needs to show that he earned and deserved the big contract that they just gave him. I'm looking for a big game from Goff. I'd love to see I'd love to see a big game as well from both running backs, but man, it would be really nice to see Goff throw for at least a couple and 300 yards. I mean, just show some signs of life out there. I think that's going to be something that I really need to see. Um, but usually for Goff, that happens when the run game is popping off early. So everything's got to be clicking. They need to find it on offense. They lost their moxie. They haven't had it yet this year.
Exactly. And not only the confidence for the fans and the team alike for Jared to go out there and put up some numbers and show what he's about, get himself into a groove too. Just let him have confidence because that's what it feels like he's lacking. I mean, you touched on it last week. The lack of confidence just seems a little scared out there in the pocket, and a lot of that had to do with the pressures that he took last week and uncharacteristic of the offensive line from the Lions to give up so much pressure resulted in no sacks, but a lot of pressure. And Jared's numbers while under pressure last week were not good. And Jared just kind of needs, he's that quarterback. You know what he is. He needs a clean pocket. He needs a good run game. I think you nailed it with all the points right there. That's kind of my thoughts on this week too, is you just got to get back to last year's mentality, the offense as a whole, but namely Jared Goff and Ben Johnson. Feels like Ben Johnson's kind of changed up the play calling a little bit, maybe with the lack of Josh Reynolds trying to diversify or evolve this offense. I think you got to go back to basics. Obviously, run the ball. Don't throw the ball 55 times. You don't need to be an expert to know that. Last week's numbers were just egregious in the passing to run ratio, just bad. Not what the Lions are about. Lean on that offensive line, and offensive line's got to step up and play a better game too. But I think just play to your strengths, run the ball, get the ball to Sam Laporta, who's been a ghost out there. And I'd like to see Tim Patrick, now that he's got one game solidly under his belt, I'd like to see Tim Patrick more involved. And Isaiah Williams might get some play time too, especially if St. Brown can't play, but St. Brown is practicing, so we're good in that department. But on the offensive side, Glasgow did not practice today, which is a little bit scary.
Yeah, so St. Brown I think is solid. He said on their podcast he was good to go. Sounds like it's just a contusion, nothing too serious. Um, yeah, I don't banged up. I guess maybe we were wrong, and the bye week needed to come earlier than we thought it did. And maybe this is. It seems like they do a lot of like hat on hat practices and full contact earlier, but maybe this is a product of not playing anybody in the preseason, which I don't think is really going to change. Especially if they do go to an 18 game season, it's almost like what's the point? I mean, 18 game season, who knows what kind of records are getting to the playoff? Do you get in at 9-9? Like, do you just get, I don't, we'll see. But, this could be a byproduct of that. You got a lot of guys who are just not ready for game speed. Their bodies aren't used to it. Hopefully it tapers off very, very soon.
Yeah, it's weird. It's weird to consider a 9-9 record. I'm just getting used to the 9-8s, the 8-9s, the 10-7s, and here we are in a couple years talking about that being a real thing, which is weird. But yeah, it seems like he's pretty firm on the whole preseason attitude. He's never wavered from that, and I do think you're right. It could be a product of that. Would love to see a little bit of action in the preseason, because it does seem like in the Dan Campbell tenure that injuries have been somewhat of an issue, and last year they had many and got healthy at the right time, and Laporta gets injured going into the playoffs, and luckily was able to tough it out and continue to play. But would love to see Sam Laporta more involved this week, and love to see Tim Patrick out there kind of playing that Josh Reynolds role.
Getting mixed
Um,
in. I like it. They're clearly trying to mix him in and make him that big body option that we've talked about that they clearly need. So signs of life there. I like that.
Yeah, it just needs something. Spark plug need to get that offense back into rhythm and give them something good to feel about. Looking into this game before this prior to the season, felt like Cardinals coming off of the year last year that they had. You felt like this could be a good opportunity for the Lions to maybe to put up some numbers, but based on what we've seen from them in their two short games with the Cardinals, put up a good fight, almost a win there in Buffalo, and then last week crushing the Rams. Doesn't give you a great feeling that this one's going to be a blowout in favor of the Lions. I think it's going to be a tough battle, and we'll get to our picks in just a minute. But Mitch, if you think back to, we're talking about this a little bit pre-show, talking back to the 2021 matchup, obviously these teams vastly different, but that was Dan Campbell, that was Jared Goff. out there in that 30-12 victory. A margin that the Lions didn't see much in 2021 at all. That was one of their biggest wins. They didn't have many. But could you recall that in the last matchup, the Lions held Kyler Murray to just 3 yards
I thought
rushing?
that was a great stat that you put in here. It's shocking from an Aaron Glenn defense. We talk about this all the time. We struggle against mobile quarterbacks. We just saw it against Baker Mayfield, who is a shiftier quarterback, but by no means is he like top five shifty guys in the NFL. So, um, no, it's shocking. It makes me very hopeful for this weekend, but you know, much different team on both sides of the ball. I mean, Lions and Cardinals, but Kyler Murray looks like a man on a mission this year. He is small but very, very mighty.
Yeah, and a lot of help from his new rookie wide receiver there, Marvin Harrison Jr., who's been coming out in a huge fashion. If rewind back to that 2021 matchup that we were speaking of, Kyler Murray was involved in that game, and even Colt McCoy was still in the league at this time. Colt McCoy got through 7 attempts in this one because it was such a blowout. But it's funny to look back at some of these. Actually, Colt McCoy had 3 yards rushing, and Kyler Murray had four
Oh yeah.
yards, 3 yards on 4 carries. So they really stifled them that day. I remember going into that matchup, very worried, very worried about that showing that happened, and being pleasantly surprised that they held a mobile quarterback in check there, because the Cardinals were hot that year. They were 9-4 or 10-3 coming into that game. Um,
Shout out
they
Cliff.
Yeah. And the Lions were 2-10-1. They had a tie that year.
Oh God, that was so bad.
And you want to think back to Ford Field at that time. This was a late December game, so that would have been like week 13, 14, late into the season. Attendance for that game, just 45,000. Just looking at the box score. That's something you haven't seen from Ford Field in a long time.
They
But
were 2-10, and they still filled 67% of the stadium, 68%, maybe
yeah,
69%. Who knows?
nice, nice. Let's round it up. I agree. St. Brown was a Lion at that time. He was the leading receiver with 90 yards. Josh Reynolds was on that team. Khalif Raymond too, and a couple guys that are no longer with the team. But Craig Reynolds led the rushing attack with 112 yards in that one. Just a little
That's
throwback
crazy.
there.
That's
I
stat
know,
of the day.
I know. Craig Reynolds was the lead back, and in a backfield that really had no identity, and now one of the biggest identities with the two-headed monster between Gibbs and Monty. So, wanted to ask you a question, Mitch. Aaron Glenn, not one to do a quarterback spy, but do you think they would ever, in any situation, you think they'll spy Murray?
I mean, after he's got 60 yards of rushing, probably. Uh, that's the only thing that would make sense to me. I don't know. I guess my my concern is Hutch is your sack guy, your QB pressure, QB hurry guy. That usually entails him setting extra wide. So he's setting out like, probably like 7, 8, 9 technique. Nine's kind of way out there, but he sets out wide and he gets upfield fast. So it's definitely on him to set the edge. But against a player like Kyler, when you do that, if you have both guys on the end go too wide, too deep, Kyler's just going to run up the gut. Um, we've got DJ Reader and Aleem McNeil plugging those holes now, so that's good. But let's call a spade a spade. Aleem and DJ, great athletes, especially Aleem, not going to catch Kyler in the open field. So that's what gives me a little bit of concern. So when you start talking about spying, do you use someone like Brian Branch, because Campbell's not going to do it. Campbell's not going to run down Kyler Murray either. So I think if they do it, they really need to just let Brian Branch be an athlete in the open field and see if he can mirror and hawk Kyler's movements at all times without them getting torched over the top. So, the big threat is Marvin Harrison Jr., obviously. Huge welcome to the NFL last week after a quiet week one. I think make Kyler beat you with his arm first with Marvin Harrison, and use Brian as a spy, and put Terry on with a little bit of help on Marvin Harrison Jr. And if that doesn't work, then yeah, send Brian to help out. But I think a spy is probably best case to make him throw first.
I agree. And in question too is Alex Anzalone's status for this game. That plays a big role in it too. I think he's your fastest linebacker by far, obviously, out there, and he's still in concussion protocol as of today, Wednesday. You hope that he's got enough time to trend in the right direction, and hopefully by Saturday he's cleared.
Yeah, I mean, or do you just, again, do you use? It depends. You got to have your athletes on the field for Kyler. So do you get a little crazy and just load your defense up with your fast guys and kind of push Brian Branch down like a yard or two to play almost like a linebacker spy? Let Jack Campbell be your field general. It'll be interesting to see what AG does. It's a concern for sure.
It's always going to be a concern. We saw what Baker, who's not even probably in that mobile quarterback category, did last week. So you put Kyler Murray in that opportunity. It's not looking great for a defense that's susceptible to it. We saw those years what Fields did to them when he was in our division. Hopefully we got some good news here, though. Marcus Davenport, talking about that defensive line you touched on. Marcus Davenport back at practice today, full practice too, not a limited, not out there just running. He's full practice today, which is great to see with that groin injury. Hopefully we continue to see him practice this week, and then he's ready to go, because that plays a big role into that defensive line. He's a quicker guy compared to the big guys in the middle there that you touched on, and he can give help to Aiden and just makes that defensive line a whole another level. You really need him out there, and give those guys some help off the edge, and give Aiden some opportunities to get some sacks again this week and control that quarterback. I think they'll lean on that defensive line huge this week in terms of maintaining and containing Kyler. But you're right. I think you got to let him beat you through the air and let him make some mistakes. He was clean last week. I think this week, if you want to talk about our key / predictions here, I think Kyler has 2 on the ground and 1 in the air, touchdowns wise, but has a turnover in there or 2 as well, and that's what leads to the difference maker. I think Harrison Jr. is going to have some big catches. Didn't touch on this, but Terrion Arnold has the flu right now, so hopefully
He'll shake it off.
He'll shake it off by this just Wednesday. Get him out there in that dry heat out in Arizona. He's going to be feeling good. I think he'll be ready. Rakestraw's still dealing with that hamstring. Anzalone in protocol, and Iffy's still dealing with that ankle. Don't know what's going on with Iffy, but it's not looking like he's going to be ready to play. Terrion should be good. Brake, who knows? He did not practice today. None of these guys practiced. So we'll see. But I think I will take the defense to handle Kyler Worry in this one and get a turnover, either an INT or a fumble. I think he had too clean of a week last week, and the Lions are going to whip him into shape out there, and we're going to have a good game. I think it's going to be another diaper game, unfortunately.
No.
I'm trying to do like a little reverse psychology, hopefully manifest the reversed, whatever the reverse of manifesting is. But we'll see. So that's your matchup between the Lions and the Cardinals. Two games in, it's hard to judge either of these two teams. The Lions have been below expectations, especially last week, and had tons of yards on offense, but just did not score. You hope they correct that this week, and we'll talk predictions here in just a moment. But a little note, the Cardinals will be in their all blacks, which includes their helmet now. It used to be just the blacks with the white helmet, which looked bad. Now they have the all blacks, pretty sick looking, but they've struggled. They've struggled in the all blacks. 2 years ago they got a win, and that was their only win in these uniforms. And last year they had 0 in these uniforms, 0 wins. So Lions will be in their white tops, and we're unsure on the bottoms if they're going to go with all whites, not the all whites, but the lighter pants or the blue pants, because the white on blue is not good for the Lions. That's not a good combo for them.
Should be noted though that the Lions, just like to go with this, the Bucks, similar feel in the creamsicles, and the Lions took care of business last year in Tampa. So we're gonna be okay. We'll be fine.
We're good. Speaking of, well, no, we'll save that. We'll save that for a moment. All right, let's talk predictions. I've got a high scoring affair in this one. I think the offense for the Lions does figure it out. They put up they kind of compensate for what they may have left off on or left out last week, and they score 31. And the Cardinals also score a hefty amount of points. I think it's just going to be hard for that defense to contain all the weapons on that offense. I think it's just too much to ask. I think we kind of get a reverse of last week. I think we're just going to see the offense step up and maybe the defense step back a little bit with this tough matchup, with Hutch not dealing with a backup tackle this week for the first time this year. And the Lions do end up winning it, though, 31-27.
Yeah, I'm behind you again. I need a big week out of the offense here. I think they figure it out. They find a way to push through. I've got Lions 31, Cardinals 24. Again, a lot of weapons on Arizona's squad. Kyler's having a great season. You did say Kyler 4 touchdowns total. So do they miss a field goal or miss an extra point somewhere in your prediction?
I may have misspoken in the notes. You can check it. I've got 3. 2 on the ground, 1 in the air.
You did say 2 and 2, I believe. I could be wrong. I could be wrong. I thought you said 2 and 2. So that's on me. My fault.
You know.
Yeah, it is what it is. I believe a little bit more in the defense. I got the Lions 31, Cardinals 24. It looks like Andrew, typical Andrew fashion. Again, he's got the Lions winning. He's got quite the score, 15-11. We call that an all-time Papa B.
That's got to be a scoregami. I don't have the numbers in front of me. That's got to be a scoregami.
It should be, if it's not.
What's that? 3 field goals and a safety? A touchdown and 2 safeties?
There's only one way to find out.
Call him right now. Call him live from the golf course.
One way to find out. It could be, yeah, touchdown, 2 safeties. That's probably what it'll be.
That would be amazing. Not amazing that the Lions would give up 2 safeties, but that would be an amazing
That'd be
score.
depressing.
And then in the Lions 15, I don't know if that's 5 field goals, a touchdown or 2 touchdowns with 1 2-point conversion and a field goal or extra point.
We're expecting goofiness. Papa B is expecting some goofiness.
You know, you throw the Lions out there. This will be their longest traveled game of the year. This is their one kind of sole road game. Yeah. But yeah, I think they'll figure it out and they'll step it up in the red zone, literally. The red zone and the red zone that is that field.
Nice.
Yeah, I meant to say that earlier. Got to scroll back up for that one. So shareholders, vote down below what you think the outcome of this game will be, and you can do that on Spotify, and that's going to be right below the player. When you scroll down, there's a poll there, and you can go and vote and comment too if you want to share any of your thoughts about this upcoming prediction. Shout out to J Dubs. He's going to be in attendance for this one, so we'll look for a recap from him. Love that. 506 maps. Let me pull up the maps here really quick to show you great shareholders out there what we're dealing with the maps this week. So all that green, that is Lions Cardinals. So if almost anywhere in Arizona, you're going to get this game. If you're anywhere in Michigan except for the very, very bottom southwest, you're not getting this game. And then some parts of Minnesota.
Zoom in on that, son. Zoom in on that Indiana real quick. I think I'm safe.
Ooh, yeah, I see an FW.
I'm in the green, baby. That's right.
You got it. So yeah, shareholders, that's what we're looking at. If you're listening to this on Spotify or Apple or any audio platforms, flip over to YouTube if you want to see this exclusive content, or check us on the socials. And of note too, I cringed when I saw this, but we've got Chris Myers, none other than Chris Myers and Mark Schlereth in the booth for this one.
Not my favorite. Quick shout out to Fargo, North Dakota. I hope you enjoyed the nice Lions game. It's nice that they get to experience some of that this weekend. But yeah, not a fan of the Mark Schlereth Chris Myers combo. Mark Schlereth just does some off the wall shit sometimes, and it just hurts me. That's a little tough. That's what we get with the 4:30 slot, though. This is what comes with the territory.
Yep. And you know what else is going on at the same time? It's Ravens, Cowboys, and that's what most of America's going to get. America's team. But yeah, you're right. Schlereth, especially as game goes on, it gets weirder and weirder, kind of like this podcast. So we got that in common. But Chris Myers he is a tough listen for a play-by-play. Tough listen. In the head official for this game will be Brad Rogers. This is actually one of Dan's favorite officials, or head referee, head official, whatever. This is one of Dan's favorites, so that bodes well.
One of his most paid off officials.
Yeah. And the Lions will be wearing all black, confirmed, against the Seahawks. That was the thing that I predicted, so I'll take a little victory lap there. Not a big surprise there, though. Kind of low-hanging fruit for me, to be honest. We spoke on it, but it's Monday night game, first prime time first Monday night game for the Lions this year. And Calvin's going up in the rafters of the Ring of Honor, the Den, the Pride. So
they're so due against the Seahawks. I think the black will look cooler on TV than we have given it credit for. Again, they just have to fix the helmets, really. And my hope for next year is they bring the black back, but like with the classic silver pants look. I think that would be the best.
I agree. That's some
high-level analysis.
We
You heard it here. I think let's see. Tommy needs to do the little news flash. We've got word coming in that there he is. Wow, what timing? Let's go.
Go on, Papa B.
Sorry, boys.
We just read off your score prediction. We got through the head officials. We're just about to get to our NFL recap real quick.
Real quick. Oh god, a mute monster early.
He's off his game. The mute monster nabs him early. This is a tough look.
Folks, you gotta.
No. Boy.
That was on. I'm gonna say that was on the microphone, and probably logging on here. That light was red. That was a hot mic, so that's not on me. How did my picks go though?
Well, we haven't gotten to your picks yet. You're just in time
Lions
for that.
Cardinals. Yeah, just Lions Cardinals. That's the only one we read off. Now we're gonna do Monday Night Football, quick NFL recap, and then we're gonna get into picks. So you made it just in time, really.
Who did I take in the Lions Cardinals game?
You've got Lions 15, Cardinals 11.
That checks. I like that. I like that score. Let it ride, boys.
When you listen back, you'll get a kick out of how we tried to determine how they got to the scores.
I can't wait. In my mind, I still don't know how. I don't even remember putting those numbers in.
It's not for you to figure out. It's for the Lions and Cardinals to figure out.
Fair enough. Let them play the game.
Yeah.
Spin that wheel, baby. All right, so we had Monday Night Madness. That was a crazy game on Monday Night Football. Shout out to Kirk Cousins for finally winning one in primetime. The Eagles suck, and Sirianni and CJ are a match made in heaven. That's all I have to say about it.
Yeah, I mean, CJ's trash. I'm so glad he left. He's just an ultimate troll. The Eagles found their shtick from the back half of last season very early this season. Maybe too early. If the Eagles miss the playoffs, Sirianni's done for sure. It feels like he's on borrowed time.
Yeah, Andrew, I sent you that clip of the Philly fans. I can't remember who account it was from, but interviewed some folks leaving the stadium, which is probably the best time to get fan reactions. By the way, that was a brilliant idea. It's probably not the first to do it, but a lot of people calling for Sirianni's job already after that loss to the Falcons. So that seat's only gonna get hotter in Philadelphia. A city that is known for crazy fans. No mic for Andrew.
I'm waiting to get cued in. I think he's still got a very cool seat. You forget that he's got, what is it, Kellen Moore is his offensive coordinator now.
No way.
He's changing he's had 3 different coordinators in both offensive and defensive in the last 3 years. His seat is fine. He's proven that he can continue to take teams to the playoffs with different coordinators and different schemes. He's got another 2 years minimum.
That's what I'm saying. If he misses the playoff, you think if they miss the playoffs, you think he doesn't get fired this year?
Not even close. If they miss the playoffs this year, he's got another year. And if they don't miss the playoffs, then he comes back and they discuss that season. And if the season starts rough, he gets fired mid-season.
It feels
I'm
like
calling
they already
it
did
3
that.
years down the road.
They did that this year, though. They sucked last year. They had all these off-season meetings because people didn't know what was going to happen, and they brought him back.
He's got a home. He was tossing the ball to his kid on the sidelines. He's cementing himself there.
Oh, wow. Shout out to the dads out there. Did you guys see that Andy Dalton named the starter for the Panthers? Bryce Young gets benched.
Bryce Young's Cooked.
Is it
Good.
official? I mean, I know it's been whispers as the worst trade ever. Is it going to be official? And correct me if I'm wrong.
Williams.
That guy sucks too. Well, that's a different story. But let's. I mean, what was the trade? They flip flop first rounds,
Okay,
and
it's
then
hard to
also
keep track of, dude. Like, not just they have one more pick coming. They have another second rounder next year for Bryce Young.
and that
So-
is
There was, I'll shout out, pardon my take here. People were saying they would love if just like a troll job, Ryan Poles like traded for Bryce Young, like a 7th round pick, and the Panthers literally ended up swapping a first for a 7th. It would be incredible.
The ultimate troll.
I mean, can you even get a 7th for Bryce Young right now?
I think that's the max you could get because he's on his. I mean, there's got to be something there. It's just the comparisons are always Drew Brees because Drew Brees was undersized and is smart, and they, the Panthers drafted him for
And Russ.
what?
And Russell Wilson.
And Russ, yeah. Yeah, I don't know. It's not good though. I feel bad for him, to be honest.
Yeah, no, it's a shitty situation in Carolina. That's just, I mean, Mitch, you made the comparison. That's the Lions of years past.
Yeah, it's the Tepper effect. It really is.
It's sweeping that organization.
That was another part of my take today. They did a little no, that wasn't part of my take. I'm sorry, that was the DP show. Paulie said he thinks that like if Dave Tepper doesn't get ousted at some point, the Panthers are gonna get Eli Manninged, and they're basically just gonna, or John Elway, and they'll be like, I'm projected first overall. I'm just gonna go do something else or not come out of the draft.
Right. Because you could have Arch coming out too, Arch Manning. And we know how Eli was not going to go to the San Diego Chargers. Remember? They basically said, no, we're not going. We're going to go to the Giants. So, yeah.
Yep.
Similar situation. Huntley goes to the Dolphins on their practice squad. And the last thing before we talk about our picks, did you guys hear about this lore about Derek Carr? Take a listen to this.
Election year Derek Carr is different. You know, something about the heightened political discourse of an election year really
Shout out to
inspires
Finesse
Derek Carr's
Wes
best football.
on
Rewind to
TikTok.
2016 when he had almost 4,000 yards, 28 touchdowns, and the lowest interception total of his entire career. He also had a game
Guys,
that year
right
where he
in
had
front of the
500
year.
passing
I
yards,
know.
4 touchdowns, and no interceptions. They were literally calling this man the MVP, all while this freak show was going on. Fast forward to the Stone Age election of 2020, you'll notice that Derek Carr had 4,100 yards, 27 touchdowns, 9 interceptions, and his highest quarterback rating of his career. Which brings us to today, where we are 2 games into the NFL season, right at the peak of election season, and Derek Carr has already thrown 5 touchdowns, only 1 interception, and has 40-balled both the Cowboys and the Panthers. Derek Carr and his conservative political stances have somehow had a converse effect on his play on the football field, because he's being very aggressive and it's working very well.
So there you go.
That was good.
How do I get this off now? I just let it play, and it'll go away. There it goes. Nice. Okay, just something to think about.
There might be weight behind that one.
I knew the founder of Conspiracy would love that one. I knew you would. I might have sent it to you already on Twitter.
I like to hear that. I like to hear that even more because I did just pick up Derek Carr.
Huge.
You know what, Andrew? Let's talk fantasy football for a second. If I prioritize fantasy football more in my life, I have Kyler Murray. I hate playing people against the Lions. I hate it. But my backup is Stafford, who is out there with a bunch of street gang members.
You got to find somebody on the waiver wire, dog. You got to dig
But do I
deep
drop
at this
Stafford?
moment. Yeah, he's got Cooper Kupp gone for a few weeks. You can pick him back up. Nobody's going to have him. You're going to be all right. Even if you don't get him, Kyler Murray, I'm going to be honest with you, I hate that guy. I hate watching him play football, that is.
Wow.
Something about him. He's way too short. Just
Better
really
buckle
gets
up
me.
for Sunday, buddy.
Oh, he's going down. 11 points on the board. Not one of those was a touchdown. Keep that in mind.
better put some respect on these short kings out here, all right? Your handsome co-hosts fall into that category, all right? So
He's
just
right.
watch it.
We're talking about field goals and a safety, okay?
All
He
right,
ain't
all
scoring nothing.
All right. Boys, let's get into these picks before so we can get the hell out of here and the shareholders can, be on their merry way. I'm sitting at 19 and 13, Mitch 18 and 14, Andrew 15 and 17. Let's move over to our handy dandy spreadsheet and talk about game 1 of the week, which is tomorrow, aka Thursday night football on Prime. The Jets are at home versus the New England Patriots. 71 degrees and 30% chance of rain on this fine Thursday. New York coming in at 6-point favorites. I'm going to take the Jets, and Aaron Rodgers.
Benjamin, I'm with you. I've got the Jets. Yeah, I don't have a ton to say. I think the Pats are a feisty team, way better than we all thought they would be, but I still think the Jets figure out a way to get it done.
I want to be with you guys really bad. This was one of the harder games of the week for me to pick here. And I'm going with the Pats strictly because they've surprised me in 2 weeks out of 2 at this point. So I think they got another surprise in the tank.
Love it.
We can roll into, what is this? New York Giants at Cleveland Browns, 78 degrees, mostly cloudy here. What do we got? 6 points on the spread is this one as well. Not our biggest spread of the week. I'm going to go with the G-Men. I can't find it in me to give Deshaun Watson any love. Until they start Jameis Winston, I can't pick him.
Tommy, bleep that.
Listen, it doesn't matter who the quarterback is. Sometimes you just got to go with the team. I think. Listen, let me throw something out there to you boys. Do we roll reverse and Ben Johnson's a head coach next year? And maybe Brian Daboll finds a job in Detroit? I don't know.
That's a little crazy.
I love it. He was a really good OC.
I like
Put that
it.
in the tickler file.
Stranger things have happened. Tommy, bookmark that.
I like the Browns.
And I like the Packers to beat the Titans. We've got Titans taking on the Packers Sunday at 1 o'clock. Tennessee coming in at favorites on this one. 90 degrees and clear. Mitch.
You did not pick the last game.
Oh, I didn't. Give me the Browns.
Color me confused as well, Mitchell.
Okay, go off, King. Go talk about the Packers.
Packers, Malik Willis, revenge game.
Oh, Andrew, he's frazzled.
I am frazzled and dazzled. But I'm going to take the Packers in a hot one. 90 degrees in this one.
The weather worries me a little bit for the up north boys, but Andrew, I was saying before you got on, we were just talking about having a Will Levis segment on our show every week, so I can't pick him. I got to go Packers.
Hey, man, Will Levis can have a moment all he wants. He just has to put more points on the board than the other team. And I think they have played some tight football 2 weeks into the season here. I'm gonna give them the go over Malik. I think they get their win over the quarterback they got rid of. And I'll bring us in here. We're going Chicago into the Colts, Indianapolis Colts in a dome. Don't worry about the weather. Easy on the giggles, boys. I'm gonna get through this one. I don't know why everybody else is so high on the Colts. Caleb Williams is not good at football, but I'm still going with the Bears.
Yeah, I'm fading you for the fourth game in a row here. I don't know what it is. Anthony Richardson has really got to figure it out, but the Colts have a more talented roster, I think. The Bears have some problems. Their offensive line doesn't look good. Caleb Williams doesn't look good. Keenan Allen's hurt already. Bears. I think the Bears' season's falling apart a little sooner than people thought it would. I've got the Colts.
Think back to last year. The Colts were very up and down. Every other game, it seemed like they were hot, not hot, not hot. They looked bad against the Packers last week. I'll take the Colts in this one against the NFC North foe. That moves us to not the Titans. I do this every time I talk about the Texans. The Vikings at home taking on the Houston Texans. The Texans getting a taste of another NFC North team this week. This one will be on CBS. Houston only a 2.5-point favorite in this one after the Vikings thrashing of the 49ers. I'll take the Texas team in this one. Vikings are going to come back to earth in this week. Everybody's high on them. They're coming back to reality this week, and the Texans show them what's up.
Yeah, I agree, Ben. I like the Texans. I like Texans to cover 2.5 points. I like over 45.5. Texans are going to go into Minnesota and roll.
Yeah, I think you're right, Mitchell. I think this is an offensive game, and it's crazy to see the Vikings in first place and in the NFC North right now. I'm with you guys. Let's let the Texans bring them back to earth. Jeez. I guess I got to do all the heavy lifting around here, boys. We got another dome
the
game.
The spreadsheet's not friendly for the snake order that we usually do.
We're heading to New Orleans, though. The Eagles and your Sirianni hot seat will take on Derek Carr and the New Orleans Saints. I'm going to take the Eagles. Actually, cut that. I'm going to take the Saints after seeing that Derek Carr spreadsheet.
Let's go.
Damn. Yeah, something about this one to me just feels like the Eagles. It feels like the Eagles are going to be that really streaky team. I think Saquon is going to run his ass off after that drop pass. I think we're going to see a big 150 number from Saquon, and it's the Saints who are going to be coming back down to earth a little bit this week.
Wanted to do the same thing, Mitch, but I hate the Eagles. And after seeing the performance that they had on Monday night, I think they're going to be a stinky hangover for them. Short week for them. Saints at home. Hard to beat in the dome there. Mercedes-Benz. Give me the Saints. Let's move right along to Pittsburgh and taking on the Chargers. Pittsburgh in Acrisure Stadium. That's what I was trying to think of. Pittsburgh at home in this one. 1-point favorites in this one. This one is a tight one. This one will be on Fox. Outdoors, 81 degrees and mostly cloudy. Give me those Bolts from LA. Give me the Chargers.
Yeah, this is one I might have to throw a little cheddar cheese on now that I know that the Steelers are favored by a point. I do like the under in this, 35.5. Listen, Harbaugh has arrived. The Harbaugh effect is real. J.K. Dobbins, can I throw a little stat out there at you guys? J.K. Dobbins is averaging 9.9 yards per carry so far this season. That seems pretty good. I guess I'm kind of new here. I like the Chargers.
Boy, oh boy, did you boys see the clip of Jim Harbaugh wanting to be best friends with Justin Herbert? Said he went right to the locker room, wanted to get the same shoes. Give me them Justin Herbert shoes, I believe is what he said. All that being said, I think Jim's getting a little too close to Justin. Give me the Steelers.
They share the
Okay,
same
you go
initials,
again.
too.
You go again now. You go again.
I was ready for it. Hey, I was on
Okay.
cue. I got the
Just making
split
sure.
screen queued up, man.
Just making sure.
We really hate this team, and it's kind of crappy to talk about him, but Denver is going to be heading down to Tampa Bay. We're getting some isolated thunderstorms down in the Bay. Unfortunately, I don't believe in Bo Nix. I don't really believe in Sean Payton at this point. I don't know if he's going to have a job here come soon. That may be somebody Dan Campbell tries to scoop as well. Give me the Buccaneers.
Ooh, see, I'm opposite. I think Sean Payton's locked in for at least another season after this one. He just got his quarterback. That was an investment in Sean Payton. I don't think they can do it against the Red Hot Bucks, but I think you need to reevaluate your Sirianni and Sean Payton takes here.
Got them mixed up. Give me the Bucks in this one. And it could be a little closer than the spread indicates, though. 6.5 points seems like a little disrespect to the Broncos, and I think the Bucks win it though. Raiders at home against the stinky Carolina Panthers. Andy Dalton going to be your quarterback in that one for the Panthers. Vegas still only 5.5 point favorites. CBS, this one's in a dome. No weather in this one. Give me the Raiders at home in that vacuum-looking stadium.
I like the Raiders, but I think the fact that they're starting Andy Dalton means the Panthers have a better chance here. But I still think the Raiders win.
Yeah, unfortunately, this is the easiest game of the week, and it's probably going to be the easiest pick of the year. Raiders over Panthers. I mean, just easy in the sense of anybody against Carolina at this point. We're rooting for another 0-17.
Yep. We fade the Panthers every year. That's what we do.
Yeah, I don't like the jinx that you just put on that game.
Yeah, apologies. a series of unfortunate events. Looks like the Dolphins are going to be traveling cross country without a quarterback. Who's taking over the helm now? Was his name Skyler?
Yes.
Yeah, I forget about this guy. He makes his yearly appearance here. I think this is another easy pick this week. Give me the Seahawks.
I love it.
Yeah, I mean, guy's feeling himself. It's Seahawks, though. I mean, I think Huntley is eventually going to be the starter probably next week. But I mean, too many things going against the Dolphins right now. Tyreek can't make up for everything.
Thank you, Andrew, for putting the jinx on this one as well. I'm going to fade you. I'm going to take the Dolphins. At home, the Cowboys back at home in this one, coming off of a big loss last week. The Ravens coming off 2 big losses. Who wants it more kind of game? Ravens versus Cowboys. Do the Ravens want to be 0-3? Do the Cowboys want to be 1-2? And do they want to lose at home? Who wants it more? Who wants to actually win this game? I'm going to take the Ravens, but, man, this one was tough.
I'm going to take John Harbaugh over Mike McCarthy. I think that's what this comes down to.
I love that analysis of the pick. I actually wanted both teams to lose if that was possible. Yes. Mitchell, I love that logic. And Ben, great description of this game. Who wants it more? Give me the Ravens. And Matthew, this is your Mitchell. This is your Matthew Stafford problem here. San Francisco heading to nowhere, basically, taking on the LA Rams. I'm going to take the 49ers. I think the Rams are just too banged up right now.
Yeah, I mean, the Rams, like I think I said street gang earlier. That was a little rude, a little inconsiderate.
Yeah.
But they're playing with practice squad guys. I mean, I know the 49ers are banged up too. I think they're out Debo, they're out CMC. I don't think it matters. I think the 49ers are going to win. I take the under in this one, though.
Ooh, yeah, the over-under sitting at 43.5 seems a little lofty for these two teams without a lot of their weapons in key positions. Really wanted to go with the Rams in this one, but man, I just can't bring myself to take the Rams, especially after last week and what's gone by. So I'm going to take the 49ers in this one. That takes us to Lions Cards. We already know what's going to be the outcome of that one, at least in terms of our picks. We all got the Lions there. Let's move to Kansas City Chiefs versus the Atlanta Falcons inside that dome in Atlanta. Falcons coming off that big Monday night win. I like the Falcons in this one to carry on that momentum. I think the Falcons, after a stinky week 1, found themselves in week 2. Don't let Kirk get hot in this one. We could be talking about a Falcons victory, especially with the Chiefs on the road here and with a few injuries. Give me the Falcons. Give me the Birds.
Yeah, I think you're riding a little high. I think the Chiefs are still the Chiefs. I like the Chiefs. I mean, I respect your opinion, Ben. It's just wrong.
Yeah, unfortunately, 2 primetime games for Kirk Cousins is something. I've got to go Chiefs in this one. I think this is where Travis Kelce finally enters the 2024 season here. And what is this? Our first of 2 Monday night matchups. We got the Jaguars heading into Buffalo to take on the Bills. I'm going to take the Bills. The Jags have been very underwhelming on this year, and I think they continue that streak.
This one's a gut feeling for me. I think the Jags, this one really does. This one feels maybe more so than the Ravens. Like, this might be the season for the Jags. And they just also, like, the Bills are just prone to lose that 1, 2, 3 games a year that they just shouldn't. Seems like it might be this one.
Yeah, this one's tough. Battle there in the AFC. I'm going to take the Bills, though. I normally would take the Jags, but something about the Bills this year is I just like what I'm seeing with that Joe Brady offense in the Bills. I think this is going to be a good one, though. I think we both agree, all of us can agree, that this is the better of the 2 Monday night matchups. This one, your first one at 7:30 Eastern on ESPN or ABC. I can't remember which one of these is on ESPN, ABC. I've got the TV networks wrong in here, per usual. Not doing my homework.
This
20% chance of raining. No, this one's not on Peacock. This is ESPN, my friend.
He transitioned. He went down to the next one.
Did you just have to say Manning cast for this one? Because that's what the second half is all about in these Monday night games, the Manning cast.
The Manning cast is going to do the dual screen again like they did last year, which is great. So if you want to try to see both, and maybe they'll pick like the hotter of the two. They'll do kind of like a red zone. Or if you have YouTube TV, you can dual screen these.
Manningcast is like a lullaby for me. They put me right to sleep.
Yeah, especially if Bill Belichick added to the trio, which he's not going to be a part of this week, which is great. But with Bill on there, love him. Love Bill. Great guy. Great coach.
You? After what I sent you guys today?
That's true. That's true. I don't want
Bill
to talk
Belichick,
about that.
for those who missed it, basically trying to give Matt Patricia all the credit for the Lions' offensive line. It essentially said they're building off of what Matt Patricia started with the offensive line. What the fuck are you talking about, Bill?
Well,
Patricia left and they burnt the whole building down to get rid of his stench.
Is
Stop.
it crazy, too, that he didn't give his other boy, Quinn, any credit in that? The one who was actually responsible for the picks?
What an absolute nerve herder.
Brutal showing there from there. Yeah, I don't have a lot to say about that. That just seems like Bill trying to fight for his guys. I don't know. I don't even know whose turn it is, but last Monday night matchup of the two, Bengals at home versus the Washington Commanders. This is your biggest spread of the week. Cincinnati coming in at 7.5-point favorites. Seems a little lofty to me. I like the Bengals in this one, but I wouldn't be surprised if that spread gets covered.
Are the Bengals 0-2? I just needed to ask this question.
Yes.
It's quite the spread for an 0-2 team, but I still think Bengals showed signs of life last week. I'm not really sure where this over's coming from, 48.5 for this point total. Washington was dreadful in the red zone last week, so very interesting. But I like the Bengals in this one. They got to get a win. They're going to get it done this week.
I could not agree with you more, Mitchell. I don't think the Bengals are a great team this year. I think they're better than 0-2 where they sit. I think they finally get it right.
And that is week 3 picks for you all shareholders. Keep in mind, too, as we noted, 2 Monday night matchups this week. Remember that. Remember 2, count them 2, and your regular full slate on Sunday and then Thursday. So that's your weekend ahead. Got college football on Saturday. Enjoy some football this weekend as we approach fall. Hopefully those fall temperatures are on the horizon. And hopefully we're talking about a Lions victory against the Cardinals on Sunday when we see you all again, because we know you'll be back. So like us, follow on all of the platforms, rate us 5 stars on Spotify and Apple, click like on YouTube, subscribe on YouTube. We're growing on YouTube. Shout out to the YouTubers, and shout out to the TikTok, which is growing as well. You guys know who you are. Even some Bucks fans coming in last week, coming in hot after the loss, of course. They come in droves, but we did get a follow-up from a couple of them, so shout out to them. And let's go Lions this weekend out in the desert. Let's find pay dirt.
Meow.